Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Pmbc meeting of October 26th, 2022. Before we get started, I wanted to give Mark Rombacher the floor to discuss the select board meeting on Monday relative to the senior center.
Hello. So at the select board meeting on Monday, we voted to authorize the Pmbc to be in charge of the senior center project as it was for the other building projects recently in town, the library and the police station, fire station, so on and so forth. The motion used the language basically off of the top of the banner off of the Pmbc website. I forget the exact language of it, but you're authorized to proceed as with the other projects. So that was to clear up any confusion as to what the Pmbc's involvement was with the project. So if there's any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer them, but good luck.
Well, thanks, Mark. I think we already have the committee formed for the senior center. Is that right?
Yeah, Bob Romley's been participating. I've been participating, and Liz and Anthony have been on most of those meetings as well. So
right.
Mark, the only problem the only thing we were talking about right now is who's going to do the interviews for the CM at risk.
Okay.
I think,
well, Brian can talk to that, but it's only the people that scored, I believe.
I can speak to it if you want me to do it later, but currently we are in receipt of the RFP responses from the CM at risk firms that pre-qualified. We received those are at town hall as of last night. And I was going to take the opportunity tonight to determine who is going to be the evaluators for this RFP process. And ultimately we'll be scheduling the interviews for next week. We had our working group meeting last week. I'm sorry, 2 weeks ago. And one of the asks of Anthony, currently right now we have 4 people on the selection process, on the selection team. And he was going to ask Pmbc if there was any other participants that wanted to be involved with the interview process as well as the evaluation of the request for proposals.
So we're going to take this out of order, obviously. So Bartlett or Brian, any interest there? Stacy?
I don't have the bandwidth for it right now, unfortunately.
Steve, I didn't know whether Mike or Brian wanted to get involved in it.
I'm already on the Shaker Lane one, and I'm a little reluctant to add another one to my plate at the moment.
Yeah.
Well, it would be just a one-shot thing for the interviews, right, Brian?
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. What we're looking for, I'm going to hand out an evaluation form, and it will be scheduling the interviews for probably whatever suits our working group, which we're scheduling tomorrow. We currently satisfy the law right now on determining who the CM firm is going to be. So it was more if anybody with experience wanted to, put their opinion in, we could have the committee vote for inclusion into that selection committee. But if not, the plan would be is that we meet tomorrow, we're going to schedule our interviews, and the hope would be at the next Pmbc meeting, we're recommending a CM for execution of contract.
Bartlett, any interest in that?
Well, I have limited experience.
You helped on the library one.
I was involved in a little bit in the library one. I thought that was an interesting process. I guess I could do a similar short-term thing. I'm on the planning board, and that's taking a lot of my time to figure that stuff out.
Yeah, Brian, if you can just explain, we have two firms that are have qualified, and it would be basically choosing between the two, right?
Yeah, we pre-qualified 3 firms, one of which in the few weeks that we've had the RFP on the street, One has also said they did not have the bandwidth for this project, so they have pulled their pre-qualification. So we've received 2 packages. Each firm submitted 2 packages. One is a technical proposal and one is a price proposal. I will be holding on to the price proposals while the selection committee will go through the technical proposals. We will then schedule our interviews, in which after the interviews we will do a ranking. We will share the price proposals, of which some are negotiable, some are not negotiable. I can go into that after our interview meeting. And then ultimately make a decision as a selection committee, and you guys would authorize me to engage with that CM firm, negotiate some of their pricing to make sure that we have apples to apples and we feel as though it's sufficient manpower for the pre-construction phase and the construction phase. And then ultimately we would bring that to the Pmbc for approval. The way that I wrote the RFP is that we would be giving a notice to proceed to this firm to get us to a GMP. So at that point, that was what we would be contracting them with for right now. Upon a GMP and an approval from the Pmbc, we would then issue another notice to proceed for construction.
Just like we did at the library.
Correct.
Yep. So Bartlett, if you're willing to do that, that's great. If you have any kind of concerns, I've probably done maybe a dozen of these. I can kind of flip these in no time at all, but it's kind of it's a little bit time consuming.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll try it.
Excellent. So,
Thanks, Bartlett. My intention is to get to town hall, hopefully tomorrow. Get the electronic copies. I have 2 hard copies that I'll leave one with Anthony's office, and I'll have another hard copy if someone would prefer to have the hard copy, and then I will send out the links for people to download and to review the RFPs.
great.
Okay, great.
Can you copy me on those proposals?
Yes.
Great, thanks. Okay, so we took that out of order. Anything else on the senior center?
Yeah, sorry about that. So that's really where we are right now. We have received it with Mark on the call here. We did have some questions in regards to some on-site storage and some of the lessons learned that we had at the library about things that maybe that they're looking for as an operation right now that we can try to mitigate with the senior center regarding some storage for some equipment, and also with an active kitchen there, that might be some needs for some other storage. We have some questions from the design team as they kind of trickle into construction documents. They're not full steam ahead as they want the construction manager on board. They want them to be preparing their estimates to make sure that our pricing is in line with what they're saying their estimates are. And we want to make sure that if there are going to be any value engineering exercises, that our construction managers on board to bring these in line.
So one of the things that I'm a little bit concerned about is the work zone around the project. When the library started, fortunately or unfortunately, we were in COVID and nobody was going to town hall. We had quite a bit of lay down, or we could fence off quite a bit of the area for the library, and parking for the trade people were down at the church.
Correct.
So those are some of the things that we need to consider. I'm not sure what the limit of work is for the senior center, but it's going to be tight.
It is going to be tight. And one thing I think we can benefit from having the library project a few years ago is there was an analysis done on the inflow of cars that are coming throughout the day and throughout the week. And so there was a study done on the maximum amount of cars per spots to make sure that we weren't taking too much with the limit of work. As I see it here, our limit of work shouldn't be taking too many parking spots off. We'll leave it to the construction manager to talk about a logistics plan about site trailers, whether or not that can be up on the site, out of the way of the building footprint. But I would foresee another similar arrangement with the church or another surrounding property where an agreement is made for maybe some site maintenance in turn to have contractor parking.
Right.
That actually worked. That worked out very well for the library project.
Yeah.
Brian and probably Mark Rambacher on this too. The town owns that house there. Can we use the back property of that for like a construction trailer or whatever else we're gonna need?
Yeah, so we'll talk with, so it hasn't been fleshed out completely about what the contractor's scope is going to be, whether or not the utilities for the house is going to be part of that scope to hook up to town utilities. Because I believe the resurveying of the property lines is going to be impeding into the old septic leach field of the property. So ultimately that's going to tie into the town sewer. I think that's all going to be part of our means and methods and our logistics plan about where things can be stored and ultimately when the town is going to either put that property back up for sale.
So, Bob, were you thinking of maybe putting the trailers where all those dead pine trees are that we planted?
Well, your property line, yeah, exactly. Right on the property line there.
Yeah, just being facetious. Okay, any other questions? Comments? Mark, anything else?
No, on the senior center, no. My only request would be that as we're going forward in the project, we start considering more green initiatives on this and other projects going forward for the town. So just keep that in mind as we're doing these things. So
I think Bartlett has an interest in that.
yeah.
Net zero all the way, yep.
Net zero, right?
I do have one other item that pertains to the senior center is that working with my team, I'm going to start implementing, and now that the PMBC is in charge of the project, my intention is to give a vendor invoice package to Steve and Michelle prior to the meeting, which is going to encompass all invoices that pertain to the project, rather than kind of giving to you piecemeal, Steve, so that it's one big package. You guys can review it, and then it's all coming from one source. So
Yeah,
that's something that definitely we could have done better at the library, and I've recruited some accounting help on my team so that we can get that taken care of. So
much appreciated. Yep, that'll help. Okay, if nothing else on the senior center, we're going to go back to the agenda and we'll approve the meeting minutes of October 12th as modified. Any discussion? Is there a motion to approve?
I make a motion, we approve the minutes of the 10/12/22 meeting.
Okay,
Second.
Bob makes the motion, Bartlett seconds. All in favor, Stacy?
Yep. Sounds good.
Bob?
Bob Romley, yes.
Brian?
Brian Pasquale, yes.
And Bartlett?
Bartlett Harvey, yes.
Steve Moore, yes. Motion carries. Well, next, we'll move down to Shaker Lane feasibility study. There was, unfortunately, Steve Mark had scheduled a Shaker Lane building committee meeting for this evening, and we obviously had a conflict, so he's going to reschedule that. He's not on the meeting tonight, so we'll more to come on that. Library update, Brian.
yes, for the library, I've been working with Alicia Nunley and Katrina, the trustees chair, and trying to close this project out. We still have a lot of loose ends that we're trying to financially close out. We did submit our final MBLC report as of last week. That was received by the MBLC committee. They are reviewing it right now, but the hope is that there are no issues. The audit, they told me, it can take up to a week. And the hope is that the town of Littleton gets their final $1 million check for the grant for that. So that is that's a big milestone, and congrats to the library and Sam and his staff for helping me with the reports. So wait to see if there are any issues. But the only other interaction that we'll have with the MBLC will be when we finally get our LEED certification. That LEED certification is going to result in either 2 to 2.5% of the construction grant, which could be anywhere from round numbers $200,000 to $350,000, which would be another library green incentive that's part of the LEED process. So unfortunately, we've been slow in submitting the LEED because we wanted to have an operable solar system on the library. And as we all know, with these updates I've been giving you, we've had some material delays, we've had contractor delays, and ultimately the hope, knock on wood, from what I'm being told, is that we can have a system commissioned and have our LEED submitted by the end of the year.
What's the schedule for the inverters?
He told me the beginning of December.
Okay.
So the hope is that the array is installed. It is ready to go. The optimizers are installed. The wiring is done. The inverters are delivered. They're installed in the electric room, and the commissioning agent is right behind them to make sure that the system is operating as designed. That commissioning certificate goes to Johnson Roberts, the original architect from the library, who then will submit the LEED final submission. We're at the mercy of LEED's review, which can take some time. But then after that certificate, we send that to the MBLC, who then sends a lump sum payment to the town for the Green Library incentive.
That's great. Now, what's the mechanism to tie that into the BMS? The
BMS? So it will have its own tracking. We are working separately with the BMS contractor about tightening up some of the schedules in the occupied and unoccupied zone modes. That should be happening in the next week or so. Once the system is installed and the commissioning agent is on board, we would determine whether or not it can be tied right into the front end, and whether or not that can be something that a few hours of programming can be done with the BMS contractor of record.
You know, something that Kirby brought up to me maybe a month ago. He said, we talk in acronyms. And
building management system.
Yeah, we probably should explain what those are.
Yep. Usually I almost said the PV, the photovoltaic system has its own front end, but it'd be nice to get that integrated right into the Viking Controls management system that we have for the building.
Agreed. Okay. And that's the
plan.
plan.
Take long to get all the panels up.
Yeah. So we've also had some issue, and I'm not trying to keep anyone in the dark here. The contractor has had some permit issues with the town of Littleton. The building commissioner and I had a discussion. We're having we're planning to have a meeting with the electrician and the electrical inspector in the next couple days to have a path going forward. There was issue about licenses, permitting, and the person that actually pulled the permit not being on site. So it was unbeknownst to me. Ed reached out to me, and we're going to get this straightened out. Fortunately, we don't have those parts that we're waiting for to get this finished for the next month or so. So we'll get that ironed out in the next couple of weeks.
Great. Okay. Anything else on the library?
Just one point of clarification. I think Brian misspoke on the amount we're getting from the LEED grant. I think it's more like 110 to 150,000, not 250 to 300. Our grant wasn't that big, Brian.
I apologize. I'm thinking of the other library. So it's 2% to 2.5% of the original contract of the original grant amount.
So it's 2% of 5.8 million, which is about 110,000.
Which is about the 100. Yes. Thank you for clarifying.
Yeah. Thanks for that, Mark, because I was questioning that in my mind, but I didn't have enough,
My apologies. I did it off a grant number of $12 million, which is a different
Right.
library.
okay. Anything else on the library? So we're gonna skip the police station and we'll go to Littleton High School roof. Brian, anything?
All I have is that I've been in touch with Russo Barr, the project manager there, to basically bang on their door to make the revisions they need to get us to a bid set of documents. There are some minor revisions that they needed to make to the details and the specs, which they are doing now. But said he said it shouldn't take them more than a couple of weeks, so I expect to have that set buttoned up by the next time we meet.
You know,
So I'm putting that out on the street.
This brings me to another issue that is not on the agenda, but it's Brian. You know, we use Project Dog. Brian Forrest. We use Project Dog, and we have a outstanding invoice from what, January, February?
No, that was from around the March timeframe. Michelle told me that they were in the check run for this week.
Okay.
So maybe it had already been approved from a previous PMBC meeting and it just hadn't got out. She told me that it was on this week's check run.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Because we'll use Project Dog for the high school roof, right?
What I have found,
assume.
yeah, we've got bid docs online and Project Dog. Project Dog has been, seems to be the cheaper of the two, and we haven't had any issues with either service. Both have been great for us. So.
Okay, good. Let's see, library, police station, Littleton High School roof, senior center. That's about it for the agenda. Member input, Bob,
All set, Steve?
Brian,
All set, Steve. Thank you.
Stacy.
All set, thank you.
Are you baking cookies for the holidays?
Am I baking cookies for the holidays?
Or maybe I'm getting you mixed up with somebody else. Never mind.
Should I be cooking cookies for the holidays?
Bartlett, anything?
Nothing really, no. They're just the contacts I have on the high school staff say that the whole roof needs to be replaced, not just the admin wing.
Well, we understand that, and I think
Okay.
Steve is putting what, 800,000 on the town meeting for that. Something.
So I think I can clarify that a little bit. So there you have 800,000 for the admin wing. They're asking for another. They think the rest of the roof is going to be another $4 million.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
It's unclear if they're asking. I don't not know when they're asking for that money. If it's for the Springtown meeting or later. I haven't seen the request yet, but it will be coming up of around $4 million.
I'll tell you, if it's the springtime meeting, that's not enough time to get a design and contractor on board for the summer.
Yeah, I gave you all the information I know. Someone else might be more in touch with Steve Mark about what their exact plans are.
Okay. All right.
Chair, you seem to have skipped over your police station, and I was curious based on the previous comments about the window itself.
Well, I was kind of skipping that over because
No problem, sir. Just was going to remind you. That's all.
yeah. So I think I'll just leave it on there for the next meeting, pending any new information that we get. But thanks for that, Kirby.
I think Brian is aware of what we found out on that, Steve, is he? Brian Force?
Yeah, Brian.
We
Can you
lose him?
speak?
I'm not.
Steve,
I'm pretty sure I sent you an email that.
Oh, yes. I'm sorry. Yeah, I've seen, I know what the issue is here, but it's not Boeing now because the humidity is a lot lower than what it was.
Yep.
Okay.
So the jams were impinging upon the window blind slats, and the
Yep.
slats were bowing. And now that the humidity's decreased, I guess, they're not pinching the blind slats, and we don't have the problem. But it almost sounds like some kind of water infiltration issue. So should we get Arno to opine on that?
I can, yeah, definitely. I'll shoot something out to him because we shouldn't have moisture at this point. I mean, the reflashing and insulation,
Right.
is supposed to mitigate that. You know, obviously the wooden window, you're getting any moisture from the outside on the window itself, but,
Yeah.
I can shoot an email to Arno and let him know what the condition is. Ask him if he can provide some advice on it.
Yeah, it's northwest facing and it's only that one window.
Okay. Got it.
Okay. All right. Member input, I think we went through everyone except myself. I have nothing. Is there a motion to adjourn? Roll call.
Motion to adjourn.
Bartlett.
I'll second that motion. Brian Pasquale.
Okay, all in favor, Bob? You're on mute.
Bob Rumley, yes.
Brian,
Brian Pasquale, yes.
Stacy,
Stacy Scott, yes.
and Bartlett.
Bartlett RV, yes.
And Steve Moore, yes. The next meeting is scheduled for November 9th at 7 p.m. Thanks for your participation. Always appreciated, and have a good evening.